Today we are reviewing two drawing games sent to us by two different, that was a bit Richard Nixon, didn't like that. Sent to us by two different publishers, and these are two of the most fun games in my collection. Pictomania and Doodle Dash are both straight gut-busting rib ticklers, able to produce miles of smiles and pack the rafters with laughters. Now, the drawing game that everyone's heard of is, of course, Pictionary. But just the other week, I said to my friends, no, we're not gonna play Pictionary. When this game last came out, it was 40 years ago. Madonna's Like a Virgin was in the charts. The world has moved on. I've moved on. So take your sound timer, plug it up your bottom, and don't follow me. Later, I would be rescued by the emergency services from the toilet of a Burger King. In my defense, I do genuinely believe that both of these games are better than Pictionary, but I'm not sure that you need to own both of them. So which one's for you? Let's, you and me both, figure it out. Up first, we'll look at Doodle Dash, a game with the listed authors of Buvarp and Svensson, which sound like names you'd find on the cover of a 70s comedy album, and then you'd Google them and see the controversies section of their Wikipedia page was super long. In each round of Doodle Dash, one player around the table is going to be taking their turn guessing, and everyone else is going to be drawing the same thing. So let's say I'm guessing, I would close my eyes, flip a card off the top of the deck and say a number from 1 to 7. I'll say 5, which would mean everyone around the table has to draw a waffle. And they're going to be drawing waffles with a speed and determination you'd expect from people falling out of an airplane. The first player who decides they're finished drawing grabs this pointless glittery thing, and the second player who decides they're finished drawing grabs this grey dice and immediately begins rolling it over and over again while saying things like, no, come on, please, and this is definitely the worst part of the game. Once that player has finally rolled the elusive stop symbol, they're going to yell, stop! And every other player around the table is going to flip their drawing over, and only at that point will the player who's closed their eyes open their eyes. First, they are going to look at the drawing of the try-hard Speedy Gonzales that grabbed the totem, and if they correctly guess the word from this, they and the player who drew it get 1 point. But they probably won't succeed since the fastest drawing usually resembles an inscrutable scratch made by a medium at a budget seance. So if the guesser fails that first drawing, they're going to look at the drawing of the second fastest player, the one who was grabbing and rolling and hating this dice. If they guess correctly here, then this player and the dice roller each get points. But if they fail for a second time, and this is the best part of the game, there's this grand reveal as every other player flip open their drawings at the same time, and you're going to look at them all at once. And I love this moment not just because it's a big reveal where you get to see all your friends' half-assed artistry at the same time, but because the players who were left drawing while the dice was being rolled had the most time, but also didn't know how much time they were gonna have. And so they often add all kinds of like weird detailing and accoutrement that they thought so clearly was a good idea at the time, but now you're looking at it through the eyes of the person trying to figure out what you've done, and you've just done the creative equivalent of getting excited and peeing yourself. And if the guesser finally guesses correctly this time, then they're going to get a point along with every other player, which is great because then it makes the people who grab the totem and grab the dice, the players who are working the hardest, seem foolish and a real tortoise in the hair. Tortoise in the Hair? That would be a very different children's book. Doodle Dash is great. It has non-stop energy and absurdity, mostly because players are just like from start to finish. This game is players revealing drawings that you'd hesitate to put on the fridge if your toddler brought them home from kindergarten. But when I talk about this game being better than Pictionary, that's for some simple structural reasons as well. There's no waiting for your turn to draw. It's a lot more faster and poppy. And also, I personally prefer the shared artistic endeavor of Doodle Dash rather than Pictionary's thing of all of your friends staring at your artistic ability or the void where your artistic ability is, and you slowly realize they're probably not going to guess Queen Elizabeth II. If I have a criticism of this game, it's that party games live or die on the quality of the prompts that they give you to like be funny with. And Doodle Dash gets like a B to a B+. The vast majority of the prompts in this game are like good enough, and some are great. For example, it's always going to be funny watching people draw bad crows or bad dentists or bad airbags. But the deck is shot through with a number of prompts that are like too iconic or just not funny or too simple. When you get a word like magnet or pill, there's just a panicked scrabble to draw the obvious thing and all the humour of the game vaporizes. That said, I am always up for a game of Doodle Dash. That's not always true of Pictomania. That said, Pictomania is my favourite drawing game. So let's give Doodle Dash a cheeky, classic, shut up and sit down, preference push. Pictomania is my favourite drawing game, as you can tell from these components, which are, to use a technical term, absolutely shagged. And this is actually an old edition. The new edition of Pictomania comes in this fancy, compact, little blue box. This is a game designed by the legendary Vlada Chvátil, who you might know from such classics as Codenames and Galaxy Trucker. And Pictomania answers the questions on everybody's lips. Namely, what if Pictionary had the adrenal desperation of the movie Uncut Gems? In every round of Pictomania, everybody is drawing and guessing at the same time against the clock. And if that sounds mean, wait until I tell you how scoring works. So how does drawing and guessing at the same time work? Well, each round you're going to deal out a bunch of cards from one of Pictomania's amazing decks, which range in difficulty from 1 to 4 and are basically child-friendly to hell. And everyone is then dealt a symbol and a number showing which listing on these cards they have to draw. The round then starts with everybody hurriedly drawing at the same time while also looking up to see what everyone else is doing. And of course, you're looking at everyone else's drawings upside down until they're finished and spin the drawing around. If you think you know what someone's drawing, you slap down a number in front of their drawing thing, which says what you think they're drawing. And then once you've decided you're done with your drawing and you've given out guesses to everybody, you grab the highest numbered checkered flag token from the middle of the table, which are worth points themselves. Now, at the end of the round, you have to do quite a bit of scoring. Every player is going to give out one of their own coloured point scoring tokens to the players who got their drawing correct. But if not all the players around the table guessed your drawing successfully and you didn't give out some of your point tokens, those count as negative points for you. Also, and this is the really mean part, incorrect guesses go in a pile in the middle of the table, and at the end of each round you see who has the most incorrect guesses. They are what Vlada calls the black sheep of the round, and to the black sheep, those bonus points you got for finishing quickly, they're negative points as well. So Pictomania is a game that says go absolutely as fast as you can, but of course, if you go too fast, you're a complete idiot. Now, if this challenge sounds like it might even be too much for you, yeah, it probably will be, and that's kind of the point. This is what Vlada games have in common. They tend to be taxing enough that players will constantly be tripping over themselves, making stupid mistakes, while also being open enough in the challenge that players can bring their own cunning and creativity to the procedures. A really easy example of how this game lets you make awful mistakes is the failure cascade you can get into if you give away the wrong card. Let's say, oh, that person's definitely drawing a hydroelectric dam, that's a 5. Oh no, wait, that player's drawing something different. This player's drawing number 5, but I've already given my 5 away, which means, oh, well, next best guess, maybe this person's drawing number 4. Oh no, wait, this player's drawing number 4. You can't pick your guesses back up in Pictomania, so maybe I give that a 3, and suddenly I've got every single guess wrong, because I got the first one wrong because I was too fast. I'll give you another example of what I love about this game. Sometimes these cards are so difficult as to be punchlines in and of themselves, right? Okay, let's say you get number 3. You have to draw take, but not get that confused with a promise or an offer or give or ask. So that sounds really hard, right? But the flip side of it is that Pictomania is the only drawing game where players are trying to guess what you're drawing out of a lineup. So you don't have to draw Easter so that your friends get it. You just have to draw something that looks more like Easter than it does any of the other 36 words in that round. And sometimes players just hit that racing line of Pictomania perfectly. They draw something that looks even vaguely like an egg. All the other players start complaining about it. What the heck have you drawn? What the heck have you drawn? Until some player goes, oh my God, I get it. Of course, it's obvious. It's an egg. It's an Easter egg. And that player has freed up all this extra time for guessing. And yet, you see how risky this is? There will also be rounds where you do this going, that's an egg, I'm a genius. None of your friends get it, and your score for that round is -3. But earlier, when I said I'm not always up for games of Pictomania, it's because this game is a higher investment of energy than other drawing games. The teach is a little longer, the admin of scoring each round is quite involved, and the focus each round of Pictomania requires is you draw, check, look, guess, draw, look, guess, look. It's ridiculous. But if Pictomania asks a lot from the players, it gives you so much more in return than other drawing games. A game of Pictomania is packed with surprises. You see so many bad drawings of different styles, and the clue cards are great. I was quite surprised, actually. My friends were unanimous that they preferred Pictomania to Doodle Dash, although they did all also say that Doodle Dash is the simpler game that they would prefer teaching to their family. Teaching Pictomania to your family, I don't know. If your family's like mine, you would immediately divide your relatives into people who'd get it and people who probably wouldn't. Because, you know, like all real-time games, there's no time for the person teaching the game to make sure the rules are being obeyed in the middle of the round, so all the players have to be on it of exactly how the game is played. And that can be tricky because when you're trying to go as fast as possible, players still need to make, like, orderly piles of their guesses. So that's the end of the review, I guess. Or is it? It might be that one of these two drawing games is not the perfect drawing game for you. There's the two more unorthodox recommendations that I've got for you. A Fake Artist Goes to New York is an absolute jewel of a game that combines drawing and social deduction. You're all drawing one picture together, but one player around the table doesn't know what you're drawing, and you all have to figure it out without giving away what you're drawing. It's tense and dumb and produces the best drawings ever that I personally find are like keepsakes that make me smile whenever I look at them. Look, this looks like the drawing of a particularly untalented child. Actually, it's a record of one of my greatest sneaky victories ever. Alternatively, you could look into Monstrosity, a game that Shut Up and Sit Down likes so much we did an expansion for. Monstrosity, Unusual Suspects. It was supposed to be that the sus was supposed to be SU&SD, like Shut Up and Sit Down, so it would be Monstrosity, Unusual Suspects, but then no one's finding that on Google ever. In this game, one player catches a vision of a monster and then has to describe it to everybody else from memory, and whichever sketch artist around the table gets the closest approximation gets points. It's the most creative of the drawing games we've looked at today, and just a pleasantly bizarre experience. I do love that rule, though, in Doodle Dash, that everybody has to take turns closing their eyes while everybody else draws. Ava has written about this on shutupandSitdown.com before. It's such an unusual, magical feeling to close your eyes and know that you're surrounded by your friends. Here, everybody watching this video, try it with me now. You're all going to close your eyes with me, and I'm going to point out this magical feeling, all right? Okay, so everybody, close your eyes. And in the darkness, just hear my voice and feel comfort that... I'm sorry, everybody. Sorry, open your eyes again. Stephen in America, you're not closing your eyes. And you probably thought that I wouldn't notice, but I did. So you're spoiling it for everybody. All right, everybody. Close your eyes and just feel that while you're alone and in darkness, I'm here with... I'm sorry, everybody. James! James, what are you doing? Everybody else was closing their eyes, and then you... I'm sorry, everybody. I'm sorry. James and Stephen have just ruined this for all of us. See you next time.